You are welcome to today's video's lesson with distinction medic, and in the course of today's video's lesson I will be solving different practice questions that cut across different topics in the field called biology. Before we start this wonderful lesson, if you haven't subscribed yet to the Solam community, please consider subscribing to the channel, like this video and share to your loved ones. Let's jump right into the work. Moving on to the first practice question, we have: which of the following statements best describe the organism designated as? It's option A, feeds on S. B, is a primary consumer. C, is a producer as well as a consumer. D, is a secondary consumer. Okay, it should be noted here that this particular question is from a great topic in biology, which is named to be food chain. Now, what is food chain? Food chain is simply the sequence of the transfer of energy from one organism to another in an ecosystem. And it should be noted that an ecosystem is a group of living organisms. Okay, that should be noted. Okay, that should be noted. Now they say, which of the following statements best describe the organism designated as? Now, it should be noted that when talking on aspects in food chain, this is simply known to be a producer. This is known to be a producer. Why the second one that is following the Q is known to be the primary consumer. Why this R is a secondary consumer. For this is a tertiary consumer, and for this is a quaternary consumer. Okay, that should be noted. And A is a producer is simply known to be a plant. A producer is also known to be a plant because it is one that produces the energy for other organism, because it gains its energy from what is called the sunlight and oxygen and carbon dioxide and also water. That should be noted because it manufactures its food by what is called the photosynthesis, which involves the use of carbon dioxide, water and sunlight to produce their food. Okay, now this primary consumer will depend on this. A typical example of a primary consumer is simply grasshopper. Okay, grasshopper will now feed on the plants, which is named to be a producer. Now, when grasshopper feeds on this, grasshopper is also regarded to be a primary consumer. Now, a secondary consumer will now feed on a primary consumer. A typical example of a secondary consumer is also known. Let's use rats as an example. Okay, rat is a secondary consumer. Okay, now it will now feed on grasshopper, which is a primary consumer. That should be noted. Okay, now when a secondary consumer feeds on a primary consumer, and as well a tertiary consumer will feed also on a secondary consumer. And a typical example of a secondary consumer is also known to be snake. Okay, snake is also an example of a tertiary consumer. Now a snake will feed on the rats. Okay, which is named to be the secondary consumer. Now for this one designated T is a quaternary consumer, A typical example of a quaternary consumer is simply an eagle. Okay, that should mean that an eagle will now feed on a tertiary consumer, which is a snake. Eagle will now feed on it. That should be there. Okay, that should be there. Now they now ask us that which of the following statements best describe the organism designated as this organism. This is a secondary consumer. It does. Option A feeds on S. Option B is a primary consumer. Option C is a producer as well as a consumer, and also D is a secondary consumer. You can see how the organism designated as is a secondary consumer. Now this is the answer. It is very easy. Okay, it is very easy. Now because the organism designated as is a secondary consumer, that should be noted. Okay. Now let's move to the next practice question. Now moving on to the next practice question, we have hydrostatic skeleton is the type of supporting system found in dash. Option A is mammals. Option B is reptiles. Option C is arthropods. Option D is oligochaetes. Okay, that should be noted. Now it should be noted that we have three types of skeleton. We have the hydrostatic skeleton, we have the exoskeleton, and also we have the endoskeleton. That should be noted. Now you see hydrostatic skeleton is the type of supporting system. They are referring to a skeleton because skeleton is also related to a supporting system. Okay, it's the one that holds the body. That should be noted. Okay, now hydrostatic skeleton is type of supporting system, or is a type of skeleton found in dash. It's type of skeletons found in oligochaetes. Okay, an example of oligochaetes are the annelids, which is part of the phylum Animalia. Okay, the kingdom Animalia. We have different types of kingdom Animalia. We have the arthropoda, we have the porifera, we have the echinodermata, we have nematoda and all likes. Now oligocyte is from an aspect in the Animalia kingdom, which is the annelids, because annelids are also known to be the earthworms. You can see. So hydrostatic skeleton is a type of skeleton found in earthworms, which is regarded to be oligochaetes. That should be noted. Now for option C, arthropod. Arthropod is also an example of kingdom Animalia. Okay, now it should be noted that arthropod is the most abundant element, is the most abundant kingdom in the kingdom Animalia, because it also have different classes, which are the insecta, the myriapoda, the cephalopoda, the crustaceans, the hexapodas, and all likes. You can see is the most abundant in the kingdom Animalia. Okay, that should be there. Now reptiles is a vertebrate animal. Okay, we have 5 types of vertebrates. We have the Pisces, we have the reptilians, we have the mammals, and so on. Okay, now reptiles, the type of skeleton that is exhibited by reptiles is known to be an endoskeleton. Okay, because the skeleton is located inside his body. Okay, now as mammals is also an endoskeleton. Mammals also exhibits an endoskeleton. Okay, an endoskeleton. A reptilia exhibits an endoskeleton, while also a mammal exhibits an endoskeleton. That should be noted. Okay, that should be noted. Let's move to the next. Now moving on to the next practice question, we have an example of organism which exists as a colony is an example of an organism which exists as a colony is, it should be noted that a colony is a group of animals of which they are in groups. They are in group. Okay. Now moving on to the options, we have the volvos, we have the paramecium, the ignena, the chlamydomonas. Now it should be noted that option B, option C, and option D is a free living organism. That should be noted, and they are regarded to be a cell. Okay. Now for option A is a multicellular cell and they live in group. This is a drawing for a volvos. A volvos lives in groups. That should be noted. Volvos lives in a group. Now an example of an organism that lives in colony is regarded to be a volvos. Okay. Now for option B and option D and option D and C and D, they are known to be a free living organism. That should be noted. Okay, that should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. Now moving on to the next practice question, we have caudal vertebrae is located in the dash. For option A we have abdomen, option B is neck, option C is chest, and option D is tail. Now it should be noted that we have we have 5 types of vertebrae. We have the cervical vertebrae, we have what is called the thoracic vertebrae, we have what is called the lumbar vertebrae, we have what is called the sacral vertebrae, and also we have what is called the caudal vertebrae, which is also known to be coccygeals. Okay, that should be noted. Okay, now for the cervical vertebrae comprises of only 7 bones. Okay, for thoracic vertebrae comprises of 12 bones. For lumbar vertebrae comprises of 5 bones. For sacral vertebrae comprises also 5 bones, and also at last caudal vertebrae is located in the tail region. It should be noted that caudal vertebrae is located in the tail region. Now the correct answer for this is tail. Caudal vertebrae is located in the tail region. Now for option E, abdomen, it is lumbar vertebrae. The vertebrae that is located in the abdomen is named to be the lumbar vertebrae. Okay, now for neck, it is a cervical vertebrae. Cervical vertebrae is located in the neck region, while for chest it is thoracic vertebrae. Thoracic vertebrae is located in the chest region. That should be noted. Okay, that should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. We have the relationship between nitrogen fixing bacteria and leguminous plants is that you have parasitism, we have commensalism, we have saprophytism, we have the mutualism. Now the correct option for this is mutualism. This is the process whereby 2 organisms benefits from each other. Okay, 2 organisms benefits from each other. Okay, now for option C is saprophyting. This is process whereby an organism feeds on a dead decaying organism. Okay, an organism or an animal feeds on a dead decaying organism. Now for commensalism, it also informs in 2 organisms, but one organism benefits but the other does not benefit, like the mother fish and shark. The mother fish always benefits from a shark, but a shark does not benefit from a the mother fish. Okay, that should be noted. Now, this is a parasitism. This is the process whereby an organism cause damage to its host, like pig and Taenia solium. Pig and Taenia solium. Taenia solium is a pig is the host of Taenia solium, and Taenia solium is the one that causes damages to its host. Is the one that causes sickness to the pig. Okay, that should be noted. Okay, let's move to the next practice question. Moving on to the next practice question, we have the theory of natural selection was propounded by dash. It should be noted that the theory of natural selection is propounded by a great scientist, which is named to be Darwin. That should be noted. Okay, now for option B, we have Hugo de Virich. Is the one that propounded the theory of mutation. Is the one that propounded the theory of mutation. That should be noted. Now for option C, Lamarck is the one that propounded the theory of the survival of the fittest. That should be noted. Now for option D, Linnaeus is the one that propounded the theory of the classification of living organism. That should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. Now moving on to the next practice question, we have the organ responsible for the removal of toxic substance for a cell is that. The organ responsible for the removal of toxic substance is simply lysosome. Lysosome is responsible for the removal of toxic substance from the cell. Now for option B, mitochondria is regarded to be the powerhouse of the cell, and it is also responsible for respiration in the cell. That should be noted. Now for option C, we have ribosome. It is responsible for protein synthesis. That should be noted. Now for option D, nucleus is the one that carries hereditary information. Okay, that should be noted. That should be noted. Okay, moving on to the next practice question, we have fasciola hepatica is also called dash. Fasciola hepatica is also known to be liver fluke. Okay, that should be noted. The scientific name for liver fluke is named to be fasciola hepatica. For option A, which is earthworm, is known to be lumbricina. That should be noted. Now for option C, planaria is the scientific name for planaria is named to be triclasida. Okay, tricladida. That should be noted. Tricladida. Now for option D is tapeworm. The scientific name for tapeworm is known to be Taenia solium. That should be noted. Okay, moving on to the next practice question, we have the light sensitive layer of the eyes is that. The light sensitive layer of they are not asking for us for the light sensitive cell, they are asking for the light sensitive layer, and the light sensitive layer of the eyes is named to be the retina. But when it is the light sensitive cell of the eyes, it is regarded to be a cone. Okay, now the light sensitive layer of the eyes is known to be retina, while the light sensitive layer cell is the cone. That should be noted. We don't have only cone, we have cones and rod. Okay, rod is for seeing black coloration, for cone is for seeing multiple coloration. Okay, like any color. It is responsible for seeing any color. Why fluoride is responsible for seeing black coloration. That should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. We have the powerhouse of the cell is regarded to be mitochondria. Mitochondria is simply the powerhouse of the cell, and it is also responsible for respiration in the cell. That should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. We have pseudopodium is an organ found in dash. Pseudopodium is an organ found in what is called the amoeba. And the work of pseudopodium is for movements. The aid of movement in amoeba is pseudopodium. Now for option B, the aid of movement in chlamydomonas is flagella or flagellum. Okay, flagellum is singular, while flagella is plural. As well as again, it is also flagella. Okay, now for option D, paramecium is cilia. The aid of movement in paramecium is cilia. That should be noted. Okay, moving on to the next practice question. The feeding habit exhibited by amoeba is named to be engulfing. Okay, now before an amoeba could eat, it will engulf. It will turn into a shape of the food that particular amoeba want to eat. It will turn into the shape of the food it want to consume. That should be noted. Okay, now let's move to the next practice question. We have the thickest wall in the mammalian heart is the left ventricles. We have mammalian heart is divided into 4 parts. We have the left auricle, we have the left auricle or the left atrium, or second one is the left ventricle, third is the right auricle, and fourth is the right ventricle. That is needed. The mammalian heart is divided into 4 main parts, which is named to be the left ventricle, the left auricle, the right auricle, and the right ventricle. That should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. Moving on to the next practice question, we have the hormone responsible for the ripening of fruit is dash. The hormone responsible for the ripening of fruit is simply ethylene, which is also known to be ethene. Okay, now for option B is auxin, is the one that is responsible for the growth of the plant, and it is situated on the top of the plant. Is the one that is responsible for growth in plants. For option C, that occurs in humans. For option A and also option B, it occurs in plants, while for option C and option D occurs in humans or man. And adrenaline, which is an hormone in human, which is located on top of the kidney, is responsible for emergency. For option C, insulin is responsible for the regulation of blood sugar. That should be noted. Okay, moving on to the next practice question. We have, which of the following is a universal donor? We have option A to be blood group B, blood group O, blood group AB, and blood group A. Now a universal donor here is blood group O, because blood group O can donate to all the other blood groups. Okay, now it should be noted that a universal recipient is named to be option C, which is blood group AB is meant to be universal recipient, but for universal donor is option B, which is blood group O. Option C is refers to be a universal recipient because it can collect blood from all the blood groups, but it cannot give out blood. Okay, that should be noted. Okay, it cannot give out blood. It can only collect blood from other blood groups. Okay, that should be noted. Now, a universal donor is blood group O. That should be noted. Okay, now let's move to the next practice question. You have, which of the following is responsible for the test for fat? Okay, the test that is responsible for the test of fat is simply the Sudan 3 test. Okay, it is the Sudan 3 test. Now for option A, we have, for option A and option B is responsible for the test for proteins. Okay, Million test and Burette test is responsible for the test for protein. That should be noted. While for option D, Lucas test is responsible for the test of alcohols. That should be noted. Okay, Lucas test is responsible for the test of alcohols. That should be noted. Now, moving on to the next practice question, we have digestion of carbohydrates starts from the dash. It should be noted that digestion of carbohydrates starts from the mouth. This particular question has been treated in my previous teachings class. Go watch other videos of these teachings on my YouTube channel. Okay, now the digestion of carbohydrates starts from the mouth. Okay, that should be noted. Now for option B, the digestion of proteins starts from the stomach. That should be noted. Okay, the digestion of carbohydrates starts from the mouth, while the digestion of proteins starts from the stomach. While for option C, large intestine, this is where the absorption of nutrients occurs. That should be noted. Now from option D, this is where the ejection of food substance gets out from the body. This is the passage of the unwanted substance in the food we eat. Okay, that should be noted. It's one that pass out unwanted substance. Now moving on to the next practice question, we have red blood cell is also known to be erythrocytes. Okay, erythrocytes. Red blood cell is also known to be erythrocytes. Okay, that should be noted. Now let's move to the next practice question. We have hepatitis is the disease of the dash. It is the disease of the liver. Okay, it causes liver inflammation. Okay, that should be noted. Now the disease of the kidney is diuresis or kidney stone diseases, and so on. You have different diseases in kidney. Also for stomach, we have different diseases. An example of disease of the stomach is ulcer, which leads due to the excessive secretion of acid in the stomach, which the acid in the stomach is hydrochloric acid. When hydrochloric acid is being secreted too much in the stomach, it causes what is called the ulcer. Okay, now for heart, disease of the heart, an example of disease of the heart is heart failure. That should be noted. Okay, now hepatitis is disease of the liver, inflammation. Okay, that should be noted. Now let's move to the last practice question for today. Now, which of the following organism would be a producer in a food chain? Option A is man, option B is bee, option D is goat, and option D is D. I've discussed it with you before that a producer is always a plant. Okay, a producer is always a plant which manufacture their foods by what is called photosynthesis, which involves the use of water carbon dioxide and also water for production of energy. That should be noted. Okay, now the following organism, which of the following organism would be a producer in a food chain? And the organism that will be a producer in a food chain is simply maize, because maize is also a plant. That should be noted. Okay, we have come to the end of this video lesson. If you found this video lesson helpful, please do work by subscribing to this channel, like this video, and share to your loved ones. And don't forget to comment. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.